Welcome back to the Indiana Wastewater Exam audio flashcards featured on the H2O Hustle YouTube channel. And anything that's pertaining to H2O Hustle, it is featured on there. I'm glad to be with you. I'm Jamel. I'm here to give you something of value today so that you can either study for an exam, whether you're studying for a certification, whether you're at the gym, whether you're just at home, listening to this or in the car or wherever you are. I'm giving you something today so that you can be a better operator, so that you can learn and grow and level up in wastewater treatment, or if you're just plain curious to know things about wastewater, this is a good channel and a good podcast to listen to get that information. So I just wanted to give you this today because we're going to be talking about a subject that is very important in the wastewater industry, and a good process control or control process, um, the subject to talk about. And we're going to be talking about or doing a session today on solids handling in wastewater treatment. So, whether you're, like I said, this show is kind of geared towards Indiana as far as like the regulations is concerned and everything, but everything else is pretty much across the board, across the United States, how wastewater treatment is dealt with. And so solids handling is a good thing. Some plants do it differently than others, but those solids, after they've been treated, they have to go somewhere. So this exam session will be good to learn how some of those things are, and just good to know to be able to pass an exam. So and the good to be good for you to know so that you can be a better operator and carry that with you wherever you go. So I just wanted to give you that, and we'll jump right into it. So, number one, what is the primary purpose of solids handling in wastewater treatment? And the purpose of solids handling in wastewater treatment is to concentrate, stabilize, dewater, and properly dispose of or beneficially use solids removed during treatment. What are wastewater solids commonly called after treatment? They are called biosolids when sewage sludge has been treated to meet applicable requirements for beneficial use. What is primary sludge? Primary sludge is solids that settle and are removed from the bottom of a primary clarifier. What is waste activated sludge? Or in other words, the acronym that they use in wastewater is WAS. What is WAS? What is waste activated sludge? It is excess biological solids intentionally removed from the activated sludge process. So when you're doing WAS, that's like getting rid of the solids out of the system. What is return activated sludge? Or in other words, the acronym that they use is RAS. So you got WAS with waste activated sludge, and then you got RAS with return activated sludge. So what is RAS, or return activated sludge? It is settled activated sludge returned from the secondary clarifier to the aeration basin. So that's an important process to learn, is RAS, because RAS and WAS are kind of like a seesaw effect You have to do both in a good balance in order to keep a good system running efficiently in wastewater treatment. So you definitely need to have a good RAS and return some of the sludge back from the secondary clarifier to the aeration basin so that the incoming influent or the raw influent of wastewater can be able to be consumed by the sludge so they can break down the incoming BOD and all of that stuff and to continue to treat these microorganisms. They work and they treat the wastewater. So number 6, why is WAS, waste activated sludge, removed from the treatment process? And that is to control the amount and age of biomass in the activated sludge system. So when we talk about sludge age or mean cell residence time or something like that, like, all those kind of things are kind of similar, but they're not at the same time. But when they talk about sludge age, that's what removing the WAS is removed from that. So you want to control the age of it because you don't want young sludge because that doesn't compact right. It doesn't form sludge very good, and that's not a good sign that you want to see young sludge. But you also don't want to see a very old sludge either, because then that'll create denitrification and stuff like that. So you want to have a good balance of what your sludge is in the system. 7, what is sludge thickening? Sludge thickening is the process of increasing the solid's concentration by removing a portion of the water. What is the main purpose of sludge thickening? It's to reduce sludge volume before stabilization, digestion, or dewatering. What is a gravity thickener? It's a tank that uses gravity settling to concentrate sludge. What type of sludge is generally well suited for gravity thickening? And that is primary sludge. So when you're learning about gravity thickeners and different kind of thing, when it comes to that, primary sludge is well suited for gravity thickening. Secondary sludge, which is sludge that's in the secondary clarifier, and after primary treatment, that's kind of sludge is very very watery and it's not very good to it's harder to thicken it up when it has a lot of water content to it. So when you got primary sludge, it's a lot thicker, it's a lot heavier sludge, so it's easier to thickening it up. So that's why it's primary sludge and not secondary sludge. Um, what is dissolved air flotation or DAF thickening, DAF thickening? And that is a process that uses fine air bubbles to float solids to the surface for removal. So it's kind of like a tank. It puts these fine air bubbles to float the solids to the top to make like a surface, like a sheet of sludge at the top of this when the bubbles thicken it or put it up or thicken it up. It's on the top and then it can be scraped off or removed that way to thicken up the sludge and get it out of there or pump it out of there. What type of sludge is commonly thickened by flotation? and that is waste activated sludge. So, you know, the gravity thickening, as I said earlier, is good for primary sludge, which is the heavier sludge. But when you do, or when you're using, when an operator is using, um, thickened sludge by flotation or a daft flotation thickener, it uses waste activated sludge, so it uses the lighter type of sludge that's in a secondary clarifier, or after it's been through um, a aeration basin or something like that. So what is sludge stabilization? Sludge stabilization is treatment that reduces pathogen odors and the potential for solids to putrefy. What is anaerobic digestion? Anaerobic digestion is a biological decomposition of organic solids by microorganisms in the absence of free oxygen. What useful gas is produced during anaerobic digestion? Biogas, which contains a significant amount of methane. Next, what are the two major components of anaerobic digester gas? And that is methane and carbon dioxide. And most of it, when they break down the percentages in the gas, it's mostly methane and just a little bit of carbon dioxide. I believe that's how you want it to be. Why is methane important at a wastewater treatment plant? It can be captured and used as an energy source for heating or power generation. So I used to work at a wastewater plant way back, back in 2013 and 2014, and and we used anaerobic digestion there, and the methane gas was used to create heat for the buildings, and it would run like pumps and different types of things to kind of cut down on energy cost, and help out the overall efficiency of the plant. So yeah, using methane is important because you can just use that and it'll power up things at the plant. What major safety hazard is associated with methane? And the safety hazard is that it is highly flammable and can create an explosive atmosphere. So that is very important, especially um, when you do not want any type of oxygen getting into a digester, because the methane and oxygen will create an explosive situation. So that's why it's important when they're cleaning out digesters or they're doing any kind of maintenance on them to not let oxygen get inside of these um, places or facilities, because they can create an explosive atmosphere with methane and oxygen. Okay. What is aerobic digestion? So this is not anaerobic, this is aerobic, so it means with air. So what is aerobic digestion? It's biological stabilization of sludge using microorganisms in the presence of oxygen. So that means oxygen is present in this type of digestion. What must be continuously supplied during aerobic digestion? And that's obviously oxygen, typically through aeration. So they'll do aeration to continue to have the oxygen flow, so that it can do the digestion process as it is stated. What is sludge dewatering? Sludge dewatering is removing water from sludge to produce a higher solids material or a sludge cake. And this happens at a lot of plants. They'll have different ways of doing dewatering sludge and everything, but it's to help the content of the sludge, so they can be handled and disposed of the way it should be. What is the difference between thickening and dewatering? So there is a difference. In thickening concentrates sludge while it remains flowable. Dewatering removes substantially more water and it can produce a cake-like material. So that's the difference between thickening and dewatering. Name 3 common sludge dewatering devices. And these 3 common sludge dewatering devices are a belt filter press, a centrifuge, and a screw press. So, what is a belt filter press? Is it a machine that dewaters conditioned sludge by squeezing it between porous belts? What is a centrifuge? It's used for in solids handling. So what is a centrifuge used for? It is to separate solids from liquid using centrifugal force. What is a sludge cake? It's the concentrated solids produced after mechanical dewatering. What is polymer used for during sludge dewatering? It's to improve flock formation and enhance the separation of solids from water. What can happen if too little polymer is added? It will create a poor flock formation, poor solids capture, and wetter sludge cake may result. What can happen if too much polymer is added? So if you undercut the polymer, it's poor flock formation, poor solids capture, and wetter sludge cake. So it's not the content. It will be too thick for it to go through. So then, what if too much is added? That's chemical waste, increased operating costs, and potentially poor dewatering performance. So either way you go, you don't want to add too little of polymer and you don't want to add too much. What is filtrate? That's liquid that passes through a filtering medium during sludge dewatering. What is centrate? Centrate is the liquid separated from sludge by a centrifuge. Where are filtrate and centrate commonly returned? To the liquid treatment process, often near the headworks or another designated return point. So we have that. And next, why should solids handling return flows be monitored? They can contain high concentrations of nutrients, ammonia, suspended solids, and organic matter that increase loading on the plant. Yes, you got to monitor those things because those things are coming back and they can have a high percentage of all of those, and you want to make sure that it doesn't crash your plant or put some nasty stuff in there that it's going to be harder to treat it when it returns back in. So you got to keep an eye on that. What is percent solids? That is the percentage of a sludge sample's total mass that consists of solids. What does sludge with 2% solids contain approximately? And it contains about 2% solids and 98% water by weight. So that's very important to know, and they can ask you questions like that on the test. So you would need to know the parameters of, the percentage on the solids and things like that. Why can a small increase in percent solids make a big difference? Because removing water significantly reduces the volume and the weight that must be pumped, treated, transported, or disposed of. So it seems like the more solid percentage it is, the less percentage of water by the weight. What is volatile solids reduction? That is the reduction of the organic portion of the sludge through stabilization processes such as digestion. Why is volatile solids reduction important? It indicates stabilization and biodegradable organic material and helps reduce odors and putrescibility. I messed that word up. Protrusibility. That's probably how I should say it. But yes, that's what that is. That's what volatile solids reduction. That's why it's important. What is supernatant? And that is the liquid above settled or concentrated solids in a tank or a digester. Supernatant's on the top, sludge is on the bottom. What can excessive sludge storage time cause? And it can cause these undesirable things. It can cause septic conditions, odors, gas production, and deterioration of sludge quality. What is sludge bulking? And that is a condition where activated sludge settles poorly, often because of excessive filamentous organisms or other process problems. That is definitely something to keep note of in your facilities and in your processes. When you see filamentous bacteria, it is a red flag that you're going to have sludge bulking, because it is not going to settle properly, and you're going to see it floating back up. It's not going to hold together, and it's going to cause a lot of other problems. So very important to know what sludge bulking is. How can poor sludge settling affect solids handling? So it can produce dilute WAS, waste activated sludge, increase sludge volume, and make thickening and dewatering more difficult. Why is mixing important in many sludge handling processes? It keeps solids suspended, promotes uniform conditions, and can prevent settling in unwanted locations. Why are sludge lines prone to plugging? Sludge is concentrated, viscous, and may contain fibrous material, grease, grit, and other debris. What type of pump is commonly used for thick sludge? That's positive displacement pumps, such as a progressive cavity pumps, are commonly used. Why are positive displacement pumps useful for sludge? They can handle viscous material and provide relatively consistent flow. What is land application of biosolids? and that is the controlled application of treated biosolids to land to beneficially use nutrients and organic matter when regulatory requirements are met. What federal regulation established standards for the use or disposal of sewage sludge? And that's the EPA's 40 CFR Part 503 regulations. Mark it down. You're going to have to know that one. They will ask about it. Um, they can ask about it. I'm not saying that they will, but they can ask about that. You need to put that in your head and know that. What is a basic formula for pounds of dry solids per day? And that is pounds per day equals flow in million gallons per day times solid concentration in milligrams per liter times 8.34. Definitely need to brush up on the math on these types of things. I need to probably do some math sessions or somehow get that out to you if I can do that, and talk about that because it's important to know that they'll have math questions regarding like not slots. They will have math questions regarding solids handling and other types of things. So you got to be very well aware of the math in these things. And the last one is a math question. So a sludge flow is 0.05 million gallons a day at 10,000 milligrams per liter. Approximately how many pounds of solids are handled per day? So how you going to get the answer to this question? You're going to take your 0.05 million gallons a day. You're going to multiply that by 10,000 milligrams per liter, and then you'll times that by 8.34, which is a constant of a weight of water. And you're going to times all of those things, multiply those, and you will come up with the answer of 4,170 pounds per day of solids. And that is all for this session. You have to remember this before I let you go. The solids handling process is that you collect the solids, you thicken them, you stabilize them, you condition, you dewater, and then you do that for beneficial use or disposal. Sludge is mostly water. Increasing percent solids can greatly reduce the volume, and the weight of that must be handled. So there's a good quick session on solids handling, something that you can listen to over and over again to your liking. Study this. There are other channels out there on YouTube. So some pretty good acquaintances and friends of mine's. There's Sean Powell, the wastewater enthusiast. I listen to his stuff a lot and talk to him quite a bit. Another guy that's out there that's been there in the industry for years. Some good material to listen to, and also Matt Scroggins from he's on Operator Mindset on YouTube. He's another guy out of the state of Georgia. Got some good wastewater content that you can listen to and look at as well. Very, very good content from those guys. And one thing I know is I don't know everything, but I'm just out here trying to add value to each and every person that I can. You know, I recently went through this past spring and passed my class 1 in wastewater here in Indiana, and just something to grow on and to help others learn as well. So with that, this is H2O Hustle. This is H2O Hustle, and I am doing this wastewater exam audio flashcards for Indiana and anybody that's willing to listen. But you can find this show, the Indiana Wastewater exam audio flashcards. You can find it on YouTube under H2O Hustle. You could also find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And with all of that, just remember to do things with passion, purpose, and precision, and to continue to keep hustling. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Thank you, everybody.